Jets, Jets. What is going on, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of the Jets Board. I'm your host, Ryan Ward, and I am so excited to be back with you guys tonight. And first shout out, if you have been here before, welcome back. I always love having you. If you are new here, you are always welcome in the Jets Ward. Whether you are a Jets fan or a fan of another team, you are always welcome. Always happy to have you guys in here and answer any questions or comments that you might have. I pride myself on always reaching out to my community because I love you guys so much. And fun stuff has been going on in the NFL. A lot of moves have been going on. The Giants finally have their new quarterback, Jameis Winston, 2-year contract. They got their veteran. Doesn't mean they won't draft a quarterback, but tonight's episode is really going to be about the draft coming up. It's coming up very, very quick, guys. And there's been a lot of rumors, smoke screens, who's going to pick who's going to go with this? Are there going to be trades? And I really, really want to get into this whole mock draft. I've been doing a couple of them. I've been posting on X. I've been making videos. I've made videos with a couple of friends. Make sure you check those ones out as well. Always fun and always a great time. And I've been seeing Mel Kiper and Daniel Jeremiah and all of these guys who are really big when it comes to the mock drafts and just the NFL rookies in general and the draft. And they do an awesome job. Shout out to them. But I've also watched Matt O'Leary, who I'm a big fan of, who does great work, do mock drafts every Monday. Make sure you guys check him out. He does a great job. And make sure, I will put his link down in the section below. But make sure you check him out. He does a great job. And I always love to hear his ideas about why he's picking the players to these certain spots. How he goes with the Jets as well. He does great stuff. And another one you guys should listen to, Dom C. He is a genius when it comes to rookies and the draft. Make sure you check him out on Project Prospect. He does a great job. Jeremy from Jets Chaos as well. These guys are awesome. Make sure I will put a link down in their channels. Jets Talk 24/7. All of these guys do a fantastic job with these mock drafts and just talking Jets and NFL in general. But I wanted to jump in this too. And tonight I am going to give you how I think the first round of the NFL draft will go. And I wrote it down, so if I look down a little bit, that's okay. I just wrote my notes and why I picked these players to where they went, trades that could happen, and what I really see happening in the first round. But let's kick it off. The Titans are on the clock, and I think it's a foregone conclusion at this point that the first overall pick that the Titans are going to have is going to be quarterback Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami. It seems like Tennessee's just bulked up their offensive line, and they have Calvin Ridley, who's a great weapon. They have Tony Pollard as a running back. They also got other weapons that they could use. They need a quarterback, and Will Levis is not him. He is not that starting quarterback that they want. There's been talks about them trading him. But Cam Ward will come in, start day one. I don't think he should. I think he does need time to sit. I think all quarterbacks in this draft need some time to sit. But Cam Ward is one of the best options in this draft. I love Jackson Dart, but we'll get to that later. Cam Ward can come into Tennessee and change the culture, change the dynamic, and run a really, really good offense. He knows how to dissect a defense. He can make all different types of throws, and he can get out of the pocket where he's the best and throw downfield. The guy's got a cannon of an arm. He does great work, and I think it's obvious that Cam Ward is going to go number 1 overall. Which leads me into the next pick. Pick number 2, Cleveland, you are on the clock, and they are going with, in my opinion, Shedeur Sanders. You can't tell me that Kenny Pickett's going to be your starting quarterback. I love Kenny Pickett. He is a Super Bowl champion. But that division is really tough. You got Joe Burrow. You got Lamar Jackson. You got whoever the hell the Steelers are going to have as their quarterback. Most likely Aaron Rodgers. He visited them today. And haven't heard much about it after. He might have left without a contract, but I'm thinking he's going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. So you've got interdivision with a ton of great quarterbacks. And I don't think Kenny Pickett will stand up to that. Now, I say Shedeur Sanders. Again, Shedeur has been getting a lot of love and a lot of hate for his cockiness or confidence at the combine. There's been a lot of rumors spread that a lot of teams are put off by him because of how cocky he was. And if you're not a team that needs to culture change, don't pick me then. I like Shedeur. I think he can be a solid quarterback. And the worry with Cleveland, too, is will he want to go to Cleveland? Well, I think he can make up his own mind, and I think Cleveland is going to take the risk. They really like him with the rumors that are being said out there. And I think he goes in, and compared to Kenny Pickett, I think he could start day one over that from the options that they have. So I have Shedeur Sanders going number 2 to the Cleveland Browns, which leads us to the New York Giants at pick number 3, and they are not happy. They got Jameis Winston, which is great for them. They got their veteran quarterback, but they were banking on the fact that Shedeur Sanders would fall down to them. Now, do they take a risk and draft Jackson Dart at 3? I don't think so, especially when you have a need at receiver. You got Kayvon Thibodeau as an edge. You have Brian Burns. I think they'll hold off on edge, so Abdul Carter's not going there. I think they go with Shedeur Sanders' number 1 receiver, Travis Hunter. He can play cornerback. He can play receiver. Well, the Giants just got a new cornerback in Paulson Adebo from the Saints, who's a great young cornerback. I love that signing for them. Travis Hunter can play both cornerback and receiver, can fit those needs. I see him more as a receiver in the NFL. I think he could be really solid. He's very shifty. He runs solid routes, has great hands, and is a burner too. He can beat you downfield. And I think the Giants, putting him alongside Malik Nabers, now with Jameis Winston as your quarterback, that could be a fun, dynamic offense. And I think he'd be happy in New York. He'd get more spotlight, he'd get more attention, and show what his skills can do. Will he play defense? Maybe. Every now and again, possibly in certain packages. But I see him mainly being more of a receiver. And I think Malik Nabers would love having him in there. And I think Jameis Winston, their new quarterback, would love having him there too. And now moving on to pick number 4 with the New England Patriots. They were banking on Travis Hunter being there for them. Well, he's not anymore. So, their biggest need to me, they bulked up their offensive line. They bulked up their defense. I think their biggest need is still receiver. You need to get Drake May some weapons. And I think the one that's out there that they're going to pick is Tet McMillan, wide receiver from Arizona. The guy's a big guy. He had a much faster 40 time than a lot of people were going to think. And he is somebody who can go up and get the ball. He can block. He can run smooth routes. Will beat you with his speed a little bit. Looking at some film from him, he had some solid burst. Now, when he goes up against more physical cornerbacks, that's when he can struggle. But the guy is a contested ball fiend. And I think the Patriots would love him. I think Drake May would be so happy to have a big red zone threat like Tet McMillan. So Tet McMillan going to number 4 to the New England Patriots, leaving us with pick number 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they are going to be so happy with how this board has fallen. Their top choices, they need a defensive tackle, but they also need help on defense. And the best player, in my opinion, in the draft is sitting right there, Abdul Carter. He is, in my opinion, best player in this draft. Edge rusher from Penn State will go in, be a day 1 starter, and cause chaos in that division that doesn't really have great offensive lines. And I think he could feast on the Titans, on the Texans, and all of those guys down there. And I think he could be solid for them. I think he's going to have a great career in the NFL. I love Abdul Carter, and the Jaguars are going to love him as well. Now leading us to pick number 6. And this is the Las Vegas Raiders. I think it is a foregone conclusion now that they really like Ashton Jeanty, and that's who they are picking. Running back from Boise State. Best running back in the draft. The kid is a beast, hard to take down, has quickness, can catch out of the backfield, can block. The Raiders are going to love this kid. And now with their new quarterback, Geno Smith, you have a weapon there that can help him and make him feel more comfortable back there. If you don't have your receivers, if Jacoby Myers can't get it open, if Brock Bowers can't get it open, you have a check down now to one of a solid running back, Ashton Jeanty, and I think the Raiders are going to love him. And leading into pick number 7, the not Jets. I think the Jets are actually going to trade back. And the team that I think is going to come up is the Chicago Bears. And the reason I say that, the Bears have done so much this offseason to rebuild. And Ben Johnson's their new head coach, offensive-minded guy. They rebuilt their offensive line, most of it anyway. They still need a tackle. And they just lost Tevin Jenkins, guard, solid guy. But one of the best linemen is on the board still. And Jet fans are going to be mad because I know this is one guy that a lot of Jets fans are loving at the moment. But I don't see the Jets going after him. I see them taking a tackle later in the draft. Ozzie Trapilo is my guy. But to the Bears, Armand Membou, tackle from Missouri. The guy has come on so much. Fantastic at the combine. The guy for Missouri has right tackle. He's a stud. He's a road grader. He will run your ass over. He is a solid pass blocker as well. Doesn't commit a lot of penalties either. The kid is awesome. And a Caleb Williams will have a solid right tackle now. And his offensive line from last year to this year has gotten so much better. And adding Membou to that offensive line, I think will solidify that one. You got Joe Thuney now. You got all these different players on that line. Membou coming in, young stud, young rising tackle in the NFL. I think Armand Membou would be a perfect fit for the Chicago Bears at pick number 7, the first trade. And leading into that, pick number 8, another trade. Carolina Panthers were supposed to be at pick 8. They are trading back with the San Francisco 49ers because there is a guy on the board that is a big need for the San Francisco 49ers, and that is Mason Graham, defensive tackle from Michigan. The guy's a stud. He can be solid as a pass rusher. That's his strength. He is quick off the ball. Now, run game, he needs to improve, but I think with all the players that they have on San Francisco, they're retooling right now. They're trying to get younger. They're trying to start something new. They got to worry about paying Brock Purdy as well. But getting into the defense, they need to bulk up that defense. They lost a good amount of good players in free agency, and that defensive line took a massive hit. Mason Graham will come in and help fix that. And I think he would give them a solid defensive line, one that is ferocious, one that will attack, and Robert Saleh, I think, would be able to utilize Mason Graham just like he utilized Quinnen Williams for the Jets. And Quinnen Williams had some great seasons under Robert Saleh, was somebody who was a monster, and I think he could do the same thing. Robert Saleh could do the same thing with Mason Graham. So Mason Graham going to the 49ers, and I think that's a perfect landing spot for him. And now getting into pick number 9, and I have the New Orleans Saints coming in, and they have a good amount of needs. They need a receiver. They need some offensive line help. They need cornerback help. And I am going with the cornerback at this position, and I'm going to go Jahdae Barron, cornerback from, let's see where he was from, I believe, Texas. Okay? Like I said, guys, if you see me looking down at my notes, I just wrote a couple things, wanted to make sure that I got everything right to give these players some respect that they deserve. They busted their butts to get here, and I wanted to make sure that they got their just desserts and that they have the respect from me because these guys have earned it. And I just want to make sure that I get the knowledge out there so I'm not giving anybody some wrong information. But I digress. New Orleans Saints. Jahdae Barron, cornerback. They just lost Paulson Adebo, who was a solid player for them. They need to recover that cornerback position, and Barron is looked at as a rising star. He was great for Texas. He was a ball hawk. He can play man. He can play zone. He can do anything. And he's quick too. He could be the number 1 cornerback for that team, and I think he comes in, starts day one, and is a rock star for them. Might have some growing pains because it is the NFL. It's tough to transition, but I think he comes in and can be solid, have his mistakes, but turn it around and be one of the top young cornerbacks in the NFL coming soon. Going into pick number 10, I have the New York Jets, who traded back with the Bears. Picked up an extra second. went up a couple picks. I think the trading back is the biggest thing that my New York Jets need to do. Our New York Jets need to do. And they need to add another second because they need some top-of-the-line picks because they have a lot of needs. And one of the top needs that they have is tight end. Jets fans, as we saw today, we just lost Tyler Conklin. He signed a one-year deal with the Los Angeles Chargers. So right now, if you're looking at our tight end room, it is Jeremy Ruckert, Stone Smart, I don't even know, Kuntz, I think is the guy. That is not a tight end group you want to go into the season being comfortable with. The guy who you need, Tyler Warren. He fits the offense that the Jets are going to try to run perfectly. The guy can block. He's physical. He's a great receiving tight end as well. He can do anything you need him to do. You need a bigger slot, he can go out there. You need him to line up tight on the line and block for you, be an extension of the tackle. He can do that as well. The guy is physical, guys. And I honestly think Tyler Warren could be a top... Not Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers had an amazing season last year. And I think he's going to be a stud for the rest of his career. Tyler Warren, I think, could gradually get to be that way as well. I think he comes in, has a solid rookie season, and continues to just get better and better and better. And looking at the Detroit Lions offense last year, Laporta was a big factor in that offense as a blocker and as a receiver. So if we're going to take from what we learned with the Detroit Lions and bring it over to the Jets, Tyler Warren, I think, is the perfect pick. And that's shocking. You guys might be like, Ryan, you were the one who said you don't really want Tyler Warren right away weeks and weeks ago and months ago. I said Tyler Warren, I like Tyler Warren, but in a trade back position. And I did that. So I'm comfortable trading back to pick 10 to get him. And honestly, I think Tyler Warren would come in and be a solid guy. Him and Membu right now are the picks that I would be looking for. Love Emeka Egbuka, but we have to trade back further in the draft. He's my favorite receiver in the draft. But Tyler Warren is the pick at number 10. And the Jets add extra draft capital as well. So I am pumped for that. And I know a lot of Jets fans would be pumped for that as well. Now going into pick number 11, we have the Carolina Panthers, who traded back with the 49ers, and they are going to go Michael Williams, edge rusher from Georgia. Now, Carolina Panthers have done so much this offseason. They've built up their receiving core, offensive line. They've added some pieces, lost some pieces, but edge rushers are still a need for them, and Michael Williams is one of the best ones. One of the most athletic, speed-wise, coming off that edge. He is a burner. He will get to the quarterback quick like that. So adding that speed and physicality to that Carolina Panthers defense, which stepped up last year and I think did pretty well. And now that your quarterback, Bryce Young, is making steps forward as well, they could be a tough team to take out next year. So watch out for the Carolina Panthers in that division. I think they're going to be a lot better than people think they're going to be. And I think they're going to give the Buccaneers a run for their money. I don't think the Saints are going to be as good. I think they're going to take a step back. Carolina is going to take a step forward. Falcons, I don't know. They're such a weird team to me. I don't know. Michael Penix I like, but there's still so much things that the Falcons need to do. They're a weird team to me. Carolina, I think, could go against Tampa Bay and give them a struggle. I love Baker Mayfield and everything, but he can be very hit or miss in certain games. And if the Panthers catch him on the wrong day, they could take advantage. And I think getting an edge rusher like Michael Williams could be solid pickup for them. Especially, you still have Jadeveon Clowney. You still got all these players there on defense that are physical and can really do a good job. And you put more pressure, J.C. Horn can have so much more picks. But anyway, Michael Williams, you are going to the Carolina Panthers at pick number 11, leading us into the Dallas Cowboys at pick number 12. And I have for them Shamar Stewart. The edge rushers are going on a run right now. Shamar Stewart, edge from Texas A&M, is going to Dallas. So not going too far. Staying in the state of Texas, going to Dallas. The Cowboys need a lot. They need a running back. They just got Javonte Williams. They just signed another running back as well to another one-year deal. They could use some youth in that backfield. But I think they're going to hold off until later in the draft. They are going to go edge rusher. Micah Parsons is on the last year of his contract. They're trying to re-sign him. I don't know where they're going to find the money to do that. I don't even know if he wants to stay with them. So they'll need extra edge rushers. They just lost Dexter Lawrence to the Seahawks as well. So they need more defensive help. They just lost one of their defensive tackles as well. So any more help they can get on that defensive line, and there's no better person than Shemar Stewart. He showed out at the Combine. He was a monster, had great drills, was an athletic freak, honestly. And you take that and put that on the edge in Dallas, where their defense can be very, very tough. They got Matt Eberflus as their defensive coordinator now, so I think he's better as a coordinator than he was as a head coach. But we'll see. But honestly, I think Shemar Stewart, you can't go wrong with him. And I think he would fit perfectly in Dallas. Leading us into our next pick 13. The Dolphins, man. They haven't had the best free agency. They signed Zach Wilson. That was one of their big moves. But one of the things they really desperately need is offensive line help. Tackle, guard. They need to help fill those positions. And there's a player there that is looked at by a lot as being the best lineman in this draft, and that is Will Campbell. He's still on the board. And a lot of people think he can play right tackle, or you can shift him into guard. So you could fill one of those positions with one of the best linemen in this draft, and the Dolphins are going to take Will Campbell. Tackle out of LSU. Tackle, guard. I think he projects more as a guard, but you can play him at tackle. I think he's like an Elijah Vera Tucker type, where you can utilize him anywhere. Not as physical, though. But Will Campbell going to Miami, I think could be a very, very great pickup for them. It'll beef up that offensive line. It'll give them somebody who is solid, great technique, must anchor down and open up some holes and open up some pathways for their running back Tua, who, let's be honest, guys, one concussion away, he might be out of the NFL. He's been taking too many head injuries. But beef up that offensive line, give the man some protection, and make him feel comfortable back there. And I think Will Campbell can do that. And if this happens, which I think it could, Miami would be salivating and running up to the podium to draft Will Campbell. So at pick number 13, Dolphins take offensive tackle, offensive guard, Will Campbell. Leading us into our next pick, the Colts. They are upset that Tyler Warren is gone. They really need a tight end. But there is a player there that they would love, one of the best guards in this draft, and that is Tyler Booker, offensive guard from Alabama. If you know anything, if you know anything about Alabama, they normally, majority of the time, produce solid offensive linemen. And honestly, I think Tyler Booker can come in. The Colts lost their center, they lost their right guard. Bring in Tyler Booker, and you beef up that offensive line, adding somebody really, really physical. Run blocker, road grader. Somebody who I think can come in, be your day one starter at right guard, and move people against their will. And honestly, not much to say about it. Colts need offensive line help, and Tyler Booker can do that for them. So at pick number 14, Tyler Booker is going to the Colts. Pick number 15. Falcons, man. Like I said, I don't know about the Falcons. Like, they got their quarterback of the future. They got solid receiving. They got a great running back, but they never perform to what they should. They always miss out. And can you blame Kirk Cousins? Can you blame the coaching? What is going on there? So, honestly, what I think they end up doing is taking best player available, and the best player available is one of their needs, and that is cornerback Will Johnson from Michigan. People are worried about an injury that he suffered. Will he be ready for training camp? I think he will be, and I think he'll be coming back with a chip on his shoulder. He considers himself to be the best cornerback in this draft, and not being drafted as the first cornerback in this draft, I think he will take that to heart and try to prove teams wrong that have passed on him. And landing in Atlanta, where their defensive backs core is so good, I think he would fit right in that man-to-man coverage type of defense, can play zone if needed. But Will Johnson going to the Atlanta Falcons, I think could be the perfect fit. Now, next pick. We go to the pick 16 with the Cardinals, and I believe that is their normal pick as well. So pick 16, they stay. I'm just looking where I have these trades going on. But pick 16, what do the Cardinals need? They could use some defense help. defensive help, especially on the defensive line. They could use receiver help, and that's exactly where I go. The Arizona Cardinals will draft Matthew Golden, receiver from Texas. Guy's a burner. The guy is projected to be a lot of people consider him to be the best receiver in the draft. Honestly, he's got the talent. He made Quinn Ewers look awesome this year. And I think he's going to help Kyler Murray out a ton as well. They had Marvin Harrison Jr. there, who was very shaky at times, had some good plays, had some awful drops. They need somebody to help him out. Take the pressure off of him. And I think that when you draft Matthew Golden, I think he could do that. I think the guy comes in, takes the top off of defense, and will help Kyler Murray. It'll open up the whole offense for them. And Kyler Murray, who's known to take off and run, who has great mobility, if he doesn't see anybody open, he can just book it. And I think not being able to double cover Marvin Harrison Jr. and just leaving it open for defenses and leaving it open for the offense to run, thanks to Golden, I think the Arizona Cardinals offense could be very solid next year. And they're a team to also watch. They're not that many pieces away from making a run, in my opinion. We'll see how it goes, but Matthew Golden, going to the Arizona Cardinals, I think that is a solid pick for them. Now, going to pick 17, we got the Cincinnati Bengals, and what do we say about the Cincinnati Bengals? Their offense is elite. They just re-signed Ja'Marr Chase. They gave Burrow a contract. They gave T. Higgins a monster contract as well. Their offense isn't the problem, guys. Maybe their offensive line, but the weapons that they have, not a problem. The biggest problem that we have with the Bengals is their defense. Anytime Burrow would put that team up, the defense would squander the lead away. And it seemed like they couldn't stop anything. They couldn't stop a runny nose. And I think they really, really need defense help. And there's an edge rusher on there, especially if Trey Hendrickson gets traded. If they can't work out a deal, they're going to need another edge rusher. And honestly, the edge rusher that I see them taking right now is James Pierce, edge from Tennessee. And this guy showed out at the combine too. There were so many athletic freaks on the defensive side of the ball, Pierce being one of them. I think he comes in, and if Hendrickson stays, you got another solid defensive end on the other side. He could step back and be an outside linebacker if you're running the 3 front. He can go in the cover in the flat. If you're 4 front, burn off the edge. He is somebody who comes in and I think could be solid for the Cincinnati Bengals and help out that defense that desperately needs a lot of help. And I think Bengals fans would agree with me as well. What they saw last year wasn't the offense, it was the defense. And leading us into our next pick, I got the Texans trading up. Yes, the Texans. They are trading up with the Seattle Seahawks. And you might be thinking, the Seahawks aren't going to trade back. Well, honestly, I think they will. They do need receiver help. Well, not really. They just got Cooper Kupp. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think they're willing to drop down a couple picks, and they are trading back with the Houston Texans. Yes, I think the Houston Texans are a prime candidate to trade up. They have some needs. They've been working on their offensive line. They've got Cam Robinson. They've got all these different linemen. They brought in Laken Tomlinson as left guard. They've been fixing their offensive line, which was a big concern for me, but they've been trying to fix it. And CJ Stroud has been getting better and better. What he needs, though, they lost Stephon Diggs. Tank Dell is going to be out for next year. They need receiver help, and they need it bad. And they are going to draft, in my opinion, the best receiver in this draft, Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. Guy's got the best hands in the draft. He's not the fastest guy, but he runs the smoothest routes. He reminds me so much of Garrett Wilson. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. What's more to say? The guy's a monster. He's physical. He's a great leader. Can be a captain of that team later down the road. Honestly, guys, I don't think he's being talked about enough. I think he's so underrated, Egbuka. And him going to help out CJ Stroud, I think can be awesome. And he's a great compliment to Nico Collins as well. I think that offense can get better and better. with Emeka Egbuka. So I have him, the Texans, trading up to pick 18 and taking Emeka Egbuka. I think that's going to be a steal for them. I really, really do. But lending into pick number 19, it's the Bucks pick. And the Bucks, to me, don't really have that many needs. The biggest needs that I would see for them is linebacker, and I think they take the best linebacker in the draft, Jahad Campbell. Jahad Campbell comes from Alabama. The guy's everywhere. The guy on that defense, he was a stalwart. He never missed tackles. He was always in good position. Great quarterback pressure guy. He can play in the middle. You can bounce him outside. Not bad in coverage as well. He can get out to his spots. Can get beat a little bit if he's going against a quicker person. But honestly, he's the best linebacker in this draft. I think people will be saying, they're reaching here. I honestly don't think so. I could think he could go a lot higher than this. And I think that Jahad Campbell would be a perfect fit when it comes to the Buccaneers. They need defensive help. Baker Mayfield, like I said, can put up a ton of points. Mike Evans is still there. They just got Mike Godwin back. They have a lot of people there that can score points. That defense needs to stop somebody. And by adding some leadership in the middle of that defense, I think Jahad Campbell would be perfect for them. So, Buccaneers fans, let me know what you think about that pick. Because I think that one could be a very, very good one for you guys. But let me know, what would you think about that? And that goes for every team, too. If you're a fan of one of these teams that I've picked for, or I will pick for, please let me know. Would you agree with the pick? Or would you go in a different route? I'm always happy to hear from you. Like I said in the opening statement, all fans are welcome here in the Jets Ward. And I love you guys, all you guys, whether we agree on positions or don't, whether we agree on players or don't. You guys are always welcome. Always good to have good conversations with you guys. But getting back into it. So, Buccaneers got Jahad Campbell. Pick number 20, we go to the Broncos. I don't know how Broncos fans will feel about this one, but I honestly think this kid could be a really, really great player. Another weapon for Bo Nix, and that's Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. Honestly, I think he'd be a perfect fit. He can block, but he's a great receiver. And by adding more weapons to Bo Nix, rookie quarterback that got them to the playoffs last year. And I think the biggest thing that would help that offense and their head coach, Sean Payton, getting them like a Jimmy Graham type of tight end. Colston Loveland can be that. The guy is athletic as hell and can be solid as a tight end and a great weapon for Bo Nix, and I think would complement that whole offense. Colston Loveland going to the Broncos at pick 20. Then to pick 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I said that I think their quarterback is going to be Aaron Rodgers. I think a lot of people at this point think that is going to happen. But how many years does Aaron Rodgers have? 1? 2? I don't think he's got 3. I don't think he's got 4. I don't think he's going to be around that much longer. I think he's got 1 more year of football in him. And then what are you going to do? You're just going to hope that there's a good free agent quarterback out there? You're going to rely on Mason Rudolph, who's the backup right now? This is where I think another quarterback goes off the board. And it is one of my favorite quarterbacks. And I know That's So Krista's going to be disappointed. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers take Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. Honestly, if the kid gets a year or 2 to sit, I think that would be so beneficial. And learning behind Aaron Rodgers, who's very similar type of style playing, can bounce out, especially in his younger years. Not now, he's not that mobile. But in his younger years, he was somebody who could roll out of the pocket, throw on the run, would run it for first downs and everything. Jackson Dart, I think, would be solid learning behind him, honestly. And he'd be put in a great situation. Pittsburgh Steelers, they're a fantastic organization. They love their players. They do right by their players. The only thing that Mike Tomlin, that a lot of people argue with and don't like about him, he hasn't gotten the quarterback position right. Since Roethlisberger left, they've had awful quarterback play. Kenny Pickett failed for them. All right, Mason Rudolph failed for them. Duck Hodges failed for them. All right, they haven't had good quarterback play. Now they're relying on, banking on Russell Wilson coming in. Or Russell Wilson, he was there last year and did okay for them. Not great. They're banking on Aaron Rodgers coming back or coming in. And I don't think he's going to come in for more than 2 years. 2 years at the max. But if he does come in for 2 years at the max, Jackson Dart would need that time. It would be perfect. It would be another Jordan Love situation in Green Bay. Learning behind Aaron Rodgers for a year or two, and then coming in and playing, learning that offense, being prepared. Jackson Dart is tough as nails. Reminds me so much of Baker Mayfield, and could be a guy who is awesome in this NFL, in the NFL. And I think he goes to pick number 21 to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who desperately need a quarterback. I was fighting with myself about Jalen Milroe because they've showed interest in him, but I think Jackson Dart fits that offense so much better. And leading into pick number 22, we got the Los Angeles Chargers. And they're bummed. Harbaugh is pissed. The Broncos, a division rival, took the tight end that they were looking for. They really wanted a tight end. They just lost Stone Smart. They just signed Tyler Conklin, but I think it's only a 1-year deal. I think bringing Colston Loveland into that team would have been great to basically complement Tyler Conklin, but he's gone. What's another big need that the Chargers have? Defensive tackle, and they are going to go with defensive tackle Derek Harmon from the Oregon. Big guy, run stuffer, can get to the passer, but not his strength. He is a run-stuffing machine. And they just lost Poona Ford. This guy can come in and fit that role just as good, if not better, as a run-stuffing monster on that defensive line. Will take up 2 blocks, and I think he is going to be a steal for the Chargers. I think he's going to be a solid pick for them, be a cornerstone on that defense. And I think Harbaugh would love him on that team. But moving on to the next one, we got the Packers at pick 23. They're going to go best player available. Their defense was solid last year, but I think they could use more edge help, linebacker help, and a guy who I see can be an edge rusher or be a solid linebacker, and he's the best one left on the board in my opinion. That is Jalen Walker, linebacker from Georgia. I think that Walker would come in and complement all of those defensive players. He can cover, he can rush the passer, outside linebacker or edge rusher. He can do it. And I think that defense would benefit from a younger, faster guy. They have Quay Walker, who from Georgia as well, solid player. But I think Jalen Walker can be better. And I think he comes in and does a solid job. Use him as an edge rusher, use him as an outside linebacker, can rush the passer, can cover. I think it's a slam dunk for the Green Bay Packers. Jalen Walker going at pick number 23 to the Green Bay Packers. Now, pick 24, we got the Minnesota Vikings. That team, I love what they've done in free agency. They beefed up their offensive line, got Ryan Kelly as the center, took him from Indianapolis. They got the guard, I forget what his name was. I think it was like Will Fries or something like that, who's a solid guard. Forgive me, guys, Colts, especially Colts fans and Vikings fans. I forgot what his name is. I think it's Will Fries. He is the right guard, right next to Ryan Kelly. Solid. That tandem last year was awesome in Indianapolis. They both went to Minnesota. They beefed up their defensive line, got Javon Hargrave as defensive tackle and Jonathan Allen, which I really love. They lost Cam Bynum, which is not great for them. But a guy who I think can come in and I think Flores would love, Nick Emenwari, safety from South Carolina. Guys, the guy's a monster. He's a Cam Chancellor 2.0. Fast, young, can hit like a truck, doesn't miss tackles, can cover, can be a ball hawk. Guys, this kid, I think he's the biggest diamond in the rough in this draft on the defensive side of the ball. And honestly, I really love him. If he fell to the second round, I would, as a Jets fan, I would do what I could to trade up for him, because the biggest need that we have right now on defense is, other than defensive tackle, we need another safety. We need that thumper. And second round, I think the Jets will take Xavier Watts, who I really love, Notre Dame safety. But if Nick Emenwari is there in the second round, I would try to trade up for him. The guy is a Cam Chancellor 2.0 monster, will be a beast on that defense, especially in that Brian Flores defense. Honestly, I think he would be awesome in that defense. But leading us into the next pick, we have the Seahawks at pick 25. This is where they traded back, and I have them taking offensive tackle Kelvin Banks from Texas. they need offensive line help, guys. They really do. And honestly, I don't think it gets any better. He's the best tackle left in the draft, or in the first round right now. And you could think about Cornerly as well. The Jets just met with him, which is pretty cool. Josh Cornerly Jr. from Oregon. I think he could go here. But honestly, I think Kelvin Banks, he slipped because of all the different defensive players and quarterbacks going higher than him and receivers. I think Kelvin Banks finds the perfect spot in Seattle. They need extra help on that offensive line, especially at right tackle or even left tackle. And by bringing Banks in, he can play either one. And I think he'd be solid for that offensive line and give Sam Darnold some more protection. Going from Minnesota to Seattle, offensive line's a little different there. Banks could change that and be a cornerstone on that offensive line. And I really like that pick for the Seattle Seahawks. All right, now going into pick 26, we got the Rams. Now, I thought about Jalen Milroe here. Don't think he fits that offensive scheme. If Jackson Dart fell, I could have seen him going here. I think he does fit the Sean McVay scheme. But 26, the Rams, one of the biggest needs they have, cornerback. And I have them going with the next best one, Siobhan Revel, cornerback from Eastern Carolina. And again, guys, sorry about me looking down. I just wanted to make sure that I got these things right. But these are my opinions. People might have different ones. But I really like this pick for the Rams. They want to get faster. They want to get more physical. Revels could have gone higher. I believe he got an injury that sidelined him for a little while. He's coming back from that. Honestly, I think Revels could come in and be awesome on that defense. And I know I'm very positive on a lot of these players. I really like all of them, and I'm really hoping they all do well. But this guy I do really like. I don't think he's getting talked about as much either, like a Mika Egbuka on the offensive side. Revels, I think, could come in, start day one, possibly be their number one cornerback on that team, and just solidify one of the corner positions for years to come for the Los Angeles Rams. Now, going to pick 27, we got the Ravens. You can go anywhere with these guys. They don't need tight ends. They could use some defensive help. But I think they need more help on their offensive line. Mainly their interior offensive line. And it might be a reach here, but I'm going Gray Zabel, offensive guard from North Dakota State. Guy can play corner. The guy can play center. He can play the guard positions. He can also bounce out to tackle. So any place you need him, he has played on the offensive line. And honestly, I think that he'd be a stalwart on that offensive line. I think his best position is guard. So right guard, I would place him there and just let him go. He's a monster in the run game. Needs to work on his pass game. Needs to anchor down a little bit more. But run game, you want to run the ball, which I think the Ravens want to do with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. This is the guy you're going to want. Honestly, he is a monster, and I think would bring tenacity and toughness to that offensive line. So the Ravens got a good one here. Might be a reach, but I think they would love this kid. All right, and now going to pick number 28, I have the Chiefs trading up with the Detroit Lions. Yeah, I see the Chiefs finally trading up and picking a defensive tackle. They just lost Nadi to the Jets, who, thank you very much, Chiefs. I really love that signing by the Jets. It gives us more depth on our defensive line, but you need a replacement now for that defensive line, and I think you are going to upgrade with the pick that I have for you guys. You guys are drafting Tyleik Williams from the Ohio State Buckeyes. This guy's projected to be a top defensive tackle. I think he's being underlooked a little bit. The guy's a good run stuffer, good at pass rush, better as a run stuffer, which I think they will need. They also lost Thornton on the defensive line as well, who came up and did really, really good for the Chiefs last year. That defense is not the problem. I know they need offensive line help. They could use more receivers, but I'm going best player available, and one of the best player available is another need that they have. Put this guy next to Chris Jones, and that defensive line could be unstoppable, honestly. As long as this kid can stay healthy, and Chris Jones stays healthy, and the rest of those edge rushers stay healthy. They just re-signed Nick Bolton, who is an awesome linebacker as well. You just blitz like crazy in this defensive line, let it go to work. That defense can still, under Steve Spagnuolo, who's very aggressive, can be awesome. And I think Tyleik Williams goes there and is a beast for them day one. Now, going to pick number 29, we got the Washington Commanders. And one of the big needs that they have is safety, and on the board still is looked at as being somebody early in the draft process as being the number one safety. Malachi Starks from Georgia. I see him going to the Commanders. They need a leader back there. They need a captain of that defense, somebody who's there, who can cover, who can support the run game, who can support their cornerbacks. I think Malachi Starks he's going to fall, in my opinion. He's going to fall far. And when he gets to the Commanders, that's his landing spot. That's going to be his new home. And going into a defensive-minded coach like Dan Quinn, who's great when it comes to all aspects of the defense, really. He had that defense playing top-notch last year. And their offense with Cliff Kingsbury, just as good, if not better. But Malachi Starks will come in, be a captain, be a leader, be vocal on that defense, and is not afraid to get in people's faces, not afraid to tackle, not afraid to come support the run game. He will put his head down and just get you. He will be physical and can cover really, really well as well. So Malachi Starks, pick number 29, going to the Washington Commanders. Next, we have the Buffalo Bills at pick number 30. And Buffalo has had a sneaky good offseason so far, and I don't like that because they're the best team in the East, in the AFC East as well, and I don't like to see them get better, but I'm gonna make them better here because they also need more receiver help. They just lost Amari Cooper, who's not that big of a loss. They did get Josh Palmer, who I really like, 25 years old, is a solid player, but I think they could use more receiver help. They got Khalil Shakir, who's awesome. But I'm going to give them more receiver help, and I'm giving them Luther Burden, wide receiver from Missouri. Burner, monster, runs awesome routes, technical with his routes, doesn't drop passes. Luther Burden gives them a whole different aspect of this offense, and I think their offensive coordinator would love this guy in here. And Luther Burden, I think, would be the new number one option for Josh Allen. I think he would love him. And they got Coleman as well. Putting these guys, you have Coleman, you have Burden, and you have Josh Palmer, and Khalil Shakir, and Dalton Kincaid as your weapons, and James Cook as your running back. Jesus, that team is loaded with playmakers. And I think Luther Burden could come in situationally or be out there every play and just make some great plays for Josh Allen, and I think they'd love him there. But that's the Buffalo Bills pick at pick 30. Next, we get to the trade back situation where I have the Detroit trading back with the Chiefs. Chiefs moved up to get Tyleik Williams. Now, the 31, Detroit, they need edge help. I'm giving them Mike Green from Marshall. This is a guy Dom C really, really likes, and I think a lot of people have been growing on as well. He is somebody who's a burner off the edge. He's a pass rush nightmare for offensive lines. He can't be stopped. He's too quick, too powerful. The only thing I worry about with Mike Green, he's had some off the field issues, which I think have knocked his stock down a little bit. He's projected to go in the second round. I see him going the late first. He's just got so much skill, and if he can don't be a knucklehead on outside of football. Be professional. That's all we need. Be professional and don't do anything stupid off the field. That's what a lot of these young players do. They come into the NFL, they make a lot of money, and they do stupid stuff that takes them out of the game that they love, that they've worked their ass off to get there. This kid I worry about. He's had off the field issues, but I trust Dom C. Dom C says this guy is awesome, can be a steal, can be amazing. I trust Dom C. Mike Green is going to the Detroit Lions, and with that defense, I think he could be awesome there, and a great complement to all those different pieces on that defense. And finally, we get to our last pick number 32, your Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles. I know Eagles fans are happy. Congrats to you guys. You don't have a lot of needs, honestly, so it was really hard to pick who you get, and honestly, I just came to the conclusion of giving you the best player available in a lot of people's opinion, Nick Scorton, the edge rusher from Texas A&M. You need an edge rusher. I think he'd add some stability to that defensive line, anchor down one side, and beef up that defensive line that's already solid. Bryce Huff, as a Jets fan, it sucks to say, he wasn't good. He did nothing for you. He didn't even dress for the Super Bowl, and you guys signed him for a big deal, and now you're trying to trade him. And you can't cut him because you'd eat so much dead cap. Honestly, Bryce Huff was a disaster for you guys. And I think you fixed that wrong by bringing in Nick Swerton. Good run stuffer. Good off the edge at stopping the run. Needs to work on his pass rush ability, but I think he can get there. He's still young. He's athletic. I think he'll be solid. And honestly, I think that could be perfect for you guys, the Eagles fans. I think you'd love the kid. But guys, I know it was a long video. That was my first round mock draft. It's fun to do. I really enjoy doing this with you guys and have so much fun picking these players. I know it's a lot. It's tough to do. I can understand why a lot of people get frustrated when it comes to this, picking where people should go and the disagreements. But that's what makes this fun, guys. Everybody has their own opinions of players, and I would love to share mine with you, and I'd love you guys to share yours with mine. Please, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. We are 4 subscribers away from 100, so please share this video, share this channel with your friends. If you think they'd like anything and everything Jets or NFL, I try to give all the teams their due respectfully. Please share this content with your friends. I think they would enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy it as well. And again, going live night 1 of the draft, so please join me. I hope you guys are there. I'd love to chat it up with you guys and talk about what you think is going to happen. Show me your mock drafts as well. I think it would be fun to look at them and give you my opinions on yours as well. I've already done that with some fans. I'd love to do it more with you guys. And again, guys, thank you so much for joining me in the JETS Jets Ward. Have a wonderful rest of your night, and thank you again, guys.